What is up, YouTube? Welcome back. We are here doing a Q&A. I believe we've done one of these before, but never in the format of my new apartment. So we did some moving. I was in my last apartment in South Scottsdale for 4 years. I have moved back to North Scottsdale, where I lived originally when I moved to Arizona for a year. And ironically, the hotel that I lived in for a few months is right across the street. I did not know that when I signed the lease at this apartment. I figured it out staring across the street one day that that's the hotel that I moved into on a whim. So it all comes full circle, or as my PT told me, it all comes full upward spiral, because things have just continued to improve and get better the harder I work and the more I believe in myself. So without further ado, let us get to the questions. I will give the answers. We're going to try to do this once a month at a minimum, maybe every few weeks, but we'll take questions from the comments below. So make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We still have the Let's Work Never Enough documentary, which will be dropping videos every single month, showing my entire bodybuilding year, contest prep, which will come at a later time, as well as the business side of things for me. So let's roll.
All right, first question is, first time coach, and this is the first show for the athlete. Any advice?
I'm not sure if he's asking from the perspective of he's the coach for his first time, or if he's the first time athlete working with a first time coach.
Both.
Okay. So it's first time coach. Pay attention to detail. Do not be afraid to ask for an annoying amount of updates to give yourself enough feedback and visuals to go off to make the best decisions possible. And when in doubt, bring in someone in the best condition possible, meaning don't be afraid to push them harder than you might think is acceptable, meaning have them do more cardio, have them eat less food. The very first prep I did with a client, she had very, very low calories for a long period of time, and she did a lot of cardio, but she was in proper condition and placed in the top 3 in all her classes in her first show ever. So you'll learn more as you go, but for the athlete, it's simple. Do not think that there is a better way than listening to your coach. Embrace the suck of it. You probably have never done something as hard as what you're about to do over the next 16, 20, 24 weeks, however long it is. Embrace it. Remind yourself that it's a privilege that you get to do this. Do not look at it as something that you have to do, but something that you get to do. And take a lot of pictures when it comes to show day, because truthfully, I only have about 2 pictures from my first show 10 years ago, and I wish I would have taken more.
If you could go back 5 years and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
5 years ago, I was packing my car and driving west and heading to Arizona. So that's an interesting timeline. Honestly, my advice to myself then would have been to play bigger and dream bigger. I think I was riding the dream big train already, because I was just packing my car, moving west, and betting it all on myself. But knowing what I know now and what I achieved since then, and I had, the pandemic to navigate, and that part of the world, and that part of life happened along the way, which I think prolonged my timeline to achieving the goals that I had. I should have made my goals 10 times bigger than I did. And that's how I think now, is I make goals that are almost so big they're unrealistic and they're scary, but the work that's involved to achieve them is the squeeze for me, and that's what I enjoy the most. So play big, dream big, work big.
Highest you've ever ran testosterone on its own?
Always good for a few PED questions on these. So I'm not going to put out a number. I don't believe that that's going to help anyone, other than maybe get some shock value and help me go viral, or get some hate in the comments too. But numbers are arbitrary. The dose is dependent on the athlete, their blood work, their experience, their level of musculature, a lot of things. I can tell you it is It's very high. At least I think it's high. It's probably not as high as what others have done, but it's up there. But keep in mind, I'm a national level super heavyweight who's been doing this for 10 years and doing PEDs for 9 years. So the dose matches the goal, and the dose matches, the amount of musculature I have and the amount of musculature I need. Plus, I can afford it in terms of running the health supplements that are necessary, as well as getting blood work every 3 months, 3 to 4 months, and making sure that all things check out along the way.
What is your biggest takeaway or takeaways from Stoicism?
That it doesn't happen quickly. You can read something in a book like Meditations, or hear something on YouTube from Ryan Holiday or whoever, and it doesn't mean you just absorb it and understand it right away. The application of Stoicism is a gradual thing that's always happening. Even as someone in my position who gets a lot of questions about Stoicism, it helps a lot of younger men especially find Stoicism and learn how to apply it to their lives. It's not like something that you just learn in a textbook and you have it just like that and you never forget it. It's something that you're constantly applying to life situations. One thing that stands out to me the most about it, one of the principles, is nothing happens to anyone that he is not fitted by nature to bear. I wrote that on a piece of paper and pinned it on a corkboard when I lived in the back of a gym in 2019 before I moved to Arizona. I felt at that time that I found that, and I understood it because the circumstances that had led me to living in a gym brought me to that particular quote by Marcus Aurelius, and I was able to understand it and then apply it to my situation. So that's one thing I think when you're looking at Stoics quotes and reading Meditations, which you should be if you're trying to embrace Stoicism and adopt it as a philosophy, is try to find excerpts or quotes or readings that apply to either past life circumstances for you or current life circumstances. That way you have something tangible that you can connect it to.
What did you take away and implement from Kuba's assessment of your photos?
You're talking about what did Johnny take away? Anybody who saw the video? I think big podcast that I was on or featured on with Scott McNally and Kuba Chellin. Kuba thought my name was Johnny for a few minutes there. So Johnny took away that I can prioritize my arms more. So I actually did take that bit of advice. I didn't adopt the whole split simply because I like the split I'm running, and I feel like it covers a lot of the bases that he was already getting at. I'm really loving the high frequency leg train. So I did, however, drop training shoulders. Not entirely. I'm training shoulders every 10 days, and I'm doing several more sets for biceps and triceps across the split now that I have less work elsewhere. I already was prioritizing chest. I did also start to prioritize lats more. So I would say 85 to 90% of my back work is lat based, lat biased, with a little bit for thickness. And my leg days I love them. They're laid out perfect. So we're gonna leave those as is and just ride it till the wheels fall off.
One top set song for the rest of your life. What's your go-to?
This is crucial. Honestly, because it's a part of my childhood and I've probably listened to it. It could be. We're in the high hundreds. We're pushing 1,000 times. Paper Cut by Linkin Park is off the Hybrid Theory album, which I believe came out in 01 or 02. I was in 5th grade and I would listen to that song over and over and over on my CD player until my batteries died, and then I would ask my mom for more and she would say, piss off.
How do you quantify success? Hourly, daily, weekly, etc.?
Hourly success is what have I done in the last hour that's made me better? Sometimes it's as simple as like making goals so simple, like folding laundry, brushing your teeth, making your bed, remedial stuff, but you need to get through an hour. Maybe you're not feeling it, maybe you're under the weather, maybe you're just having a bad string of hours up until that point. Weekly, I lay out my weekly planner. I have a dashboard sheet. I forget the name of the company where I found these, but I fill those out weekly. What do I have to get done in terms of bodybuilding this week, whether it be updating DOM, content for YouTube, content for Instagram. What do I have to get done for my business, Stiles, Strength, and Performance? What consults do I have? I have an assistant now. What work does she need to be delegated, and what work do I need to make sure she's gotten done? On the admin side, what tasks, what reminders, what appointments do I have? All that's laid out in a weekly format, so success is laid out that way because I can check those boxes of things as they're happening day by day. What was it? Weekly, daily, and hourly? Daily is as simple as just, whatever I set out to achieve on that day, making sure it gets done. And if not, then adding it to the next day's list of things to do.
Your top 3 beneficial foods for bodybuilders.
Top 3. I will go with eggs. Good source of protein, good source of fats. They are readily available. I think if you can step it up and get the omega-3 fortified ones, you're even doing yourself a bigger service, because we know the value of omega-3s through tons of years of literature. Foods. I'll go with steak, red meat in general. Good source of protein, animal protein, which has all the amino acids necessary. Good source of fat, depending on the cut that you get. I believe it's helpful towards your own testosterone. So if you're not someone who uses PEDs, it can be helpful towards boosting testosterone or having good testosterone levels. A third food. I want to say rice, but I don't, because it really doesn't have a ton of benefits from a micronutrient level. So, one fruit I will pick blueberries. I think fruit is important for bodybuilders. Any that don't eat fruit, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. Blueberries specifically are good for brain health, which I think is very important long term, and they're a good source of antioxidants, which is helpful for fighting off inflammation. They're also a good source of fiber, anything with skins, so blueberries, apples, strawberries, raspberries. These are things that are good sources of fiber, which we know fiber helps in lowering cholesterol, and it also can help with satiety. So if you're someone who deals with hunger issues, I think blueberries can be an option that helps with that. So those are my 3. It's hard to pick 3, but we'll roll with those.
What are your thoughts on RIR? I'm not a fan.
This may surprise some of you. It is a tool that I believe you need a lot of time learning how to use. I don't believe it as a mainstay in terms of RIR is the way that you train regularly from the get. I think you first have to learn how to take yourself to failure, and I even think you have to learn how to take yourself past failure. You have to learn how to do too much and then rein yourself in if the goal is building the best physique. So RIR is a tool. I use it. I don't live by it, but it is a tool that I use. When one example is I had to fix my blood work because my thyroid was sluggish. That required me to pull back on training, feed up in nutrition, and use some supplementation to help as well. So I was training with reps in reserve during that 2, 3, 4 week period. RIR is something that's useful down the stretch of prep, the last few weeks. Taking sets to failure or beyond is actually going to be counterproductive to putting the best package on stage. And then also reps in reserve when you've spent enough years training and you've truly learned how to generate the most internal stimulus in a movement. It can be beneficial to maybe leave 1 rep in reserve on certain movements, depending on the layout of your training, what you're trying to prioritize, specificity wise, if you're trying to bring something up and maybe something else doesn't need to be taken as close to failure. There's a lot of context, you know, it's an open book, but to keep it short and sweet, RIR is a tool. It does take some skill set and experience to learn how to truly use that tool. I don't think it's the way new trainees should learn how to train. I think it just causes confusion, and it does not teach people how to learn intensity properly.
How to lower high hematocrit and hemoglobin.
Hematocrit and hemoglobin. So first things first, what is the root cause? Were they high previously? Are you taking PEDs causing them to go higher? Maybe you need to lower the dose of certain compounds you're using. I would also implement some cardio if you're not doing any. Getting the heart rate elevated, you know, between 120 and 130, I think that can be beneficial. Supplementation, if you want the best product on the market for helping with that specifically. Hemoflow by Leviathan Nutrition. Code Stiles 10 at checkout, saves you money. That's probably the general steps I would take. Donating blood is an option. However, just understand that that's a band-aid. That will just cause the body to create more red blood cells in a response to the dumping. And unless you're gonna, you know, I don't know how high it is, but if you're not dumping your blood regularly, it's just gonna be back up again in a week or two. Truthfully, it happened to me. So Hemoflow is your best bet, honestly. And also understanding that whatever you're doing to cause that, if there is PEDs in play, maybe you need to adjust the cycle to improve your blood work.
Favorite seated ham curl you've ever used?
Easy one. Flex Fitness Ham Tracker. If anybody knows where I can get one or has a lead on one or knows a gym that's selling one, I will find a way to get there and get it with a trailer and bring it back to the desert. Flex Fitness Ham Tracker. Last place I used one was Kissimmee Gym in Orlando, Florida. Amazing piece. It's not even comparable.
You have 30 minutes to do chest and back. How do you approach it?
30-minute crew. I'm getting in the gym. I'm gonna not really do a dynamic warm-up. I'm gonna warm up with feeder sets to conserve time. So I'm gonna use a plate-loaded machine to press. Simultaneously, I'm going to go over to a cable pull-down and do some sort of lat pull-down, probably a traditional, you know, pronated grip, elbows just outside of the shoulders, pulling my elbows past the body. So just your basic lat pull-down. I'm going to pyramid up on both, going back and forth. Not necessarily supersetting, but I'm not really taking time. I'm warming up simultaneously on 2 exercises. And I'm going to do 1 to 2 sets to failure on the press, 1 to 2 sets to failure on the lat pull down. From there, I'm going to do a thickness movement, chest supported row probably, because it will be the most time conducive to load that rather than loading a barbell or using dumbbells. So I'll do a chest supported row, and then from there I'm going to go to the pec deck. I'll do 1 to 2 sets on the chest supported row to failure, 1 to 2 sets on the pec deck to failure, and that should be able to be done in under 30 minutes if you're intentional about it.
When's the next show with the eye peeping emoji? Would like the support, bro.
Always appreciate the support. I believe it's a little early in the year to put out show announcements. Not that it's a major secret, but when you start to see this fat face chiseling out and not looking like such a marshmallow, you'll know that something's near. But nothing immediately. But there are shows planned.
top advice for aging athletes who want to maintain high performance and longevity?
Don't use your age as a crutch. It's happening. We all age. But it does not mean that you have to learn to adapt. You do not have to quit doing things that you previously did in younger years. You have to adapt and listen to your body. There may be days when you cannot do certain things, and the body will tell you that. Really, it's about not being stubborn. For instance, if I'm in the gym training and the press that I'm doing just isn't happening that day, forcing it to happen puts me in a position to where I could really get an injury that's going to sideline me for a long time. Listening to my body and saying, hey, let's fight another day, and moving on to something else is the wise call there, though it's the hard call to make. So I think it's about remaining logical in your decision-making process. I think it's about remaining able to adapt, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And then I think the attention to detail becomes more important in terms of nutrition, sleep, hydration, electrolytes, all of that. I think when you're in your 20s, you can get away with not being 100% on that stuff because you're young. I remember, man, I could function on little to no sleep every single night in my 20s and come into the gym and hit peak performance. And now it's not like that. If I get under 5 hours, my performance shows it. My mental clarity shows it. My ability to be the best coach I can be shows it. So you have to pay attention to the details more as you age, and I think you have to be more obsessive about checking your boxes as you age in order to maintain top performance, which is what the question was.
Do you use digestive aid supplements, and which have you found effective and ineffective?
I do. I use a Digestime product, which is basically a blend of pancreatic enzymes. I've found that to be very effective for me personally. I use GI Support by, again, Leviathan Nutrition, code Stiles 10. Another one that's been very effective, I've used that one 3 times a day, 6 caps in total per day since 2021. Those 2 products are my staples. I think you need to attack the root cause first. I think a GI map is probably warranted for everyone if they are having severe enough digestive issues. Assessing your food intake. What are your trigger foods? Are you making emotional decisions around eating? There are certain things that just don't work for me. I love garlic. I love onion powder. Those 2 seasonings give me heartburn though, so they've pretty much been removed from my diet outside of a special occasion here and there. Bell peppers. You have to learn what your triggers are, and if you want to keep eating trigger foods, then you're basically touching a stove that's hot and you know it's hot. From there, once you've assessed the root cause, supplementation can be a benefit, but don't just jump to supplements without understanding the root cause, which means what are your trigger foods and probably a GI map.
Do steroids develop mentally emotional challenges or amplifies what you already have?
Definitely, they can. There's an old adage that I heard when I got into taking PEDs that if you're an asshole off steroids, you'll be a bigger asshole on steroids. So I also think they can cause anxiety for people that are predisposed to having anxious thoughts or viewing themselves from an anxious perspective. I think they can cause the roller coaster effect. You're manipulating your hormones, essentially. You have to zoom out and look at what's happening. But yeah, definitely they can cause mental turbulence. I also think they can be beneficial mentally. I don't think I would be as ambitious had I not gotten into PEDs as I am today. I've always been ambitious, but I don't think it would have got to the level it's gotten to. So I don't think it's a negative on your mental all the time. I think it's all perception based. But there's a Spider-Man quote I like in terms of PEDs that I've said to many younger guys along the way, and that is with great power comes great responsibility. So write that down, remember it.
Do you ever regret quitting your firefighter paramedic job and leaving Michigan?
Not one single day of my life have I regretted quitting the fire service. That was like having a chain around my ankle with a bowling ball walking through life. That's what that job felt like. The minute I quit, even though I had no income, I felt better than I had felt in years. And I haven't looked back, truthfully. Like, there was no situation when I lived in the gym, when I was living in a hotel, when I was anything along the way that I've been like, man, I really messed up there. I shouldn't have quit. Like, not once. So, nope. And I don't regret leaving Michigan. This is still true to this day. When I was driving out here, I got to the Indiana border. It was raining, kind of gray, and I got pulled over right across the border. It was good, a good cop. He wasn't a dick. He just said I was following too closely and I changed lanes without a signal, which I very well may have, I don't know, but he let me off. And he asked me where I was going. I said Arizona. He said why? And I said, you think I want to stay in this shit? And he laughed and I laughed, and that's true. We see the sun here 95% of the year. Like if I go 2 days without the sun, I'm kind of like, really? We doing this, Arizona? So no, I don't regret leaving Michigan. I think I'm very grateful that I grew up in the Midwest. I think the true blue-collar work ethic is built in the Midwest, and I can run circles around people out west that were born and raised out here. But I do not think I would have lived my best life had I stayed in the Midwest and in Michigan specifically. So no regrets.
Last one, not a question, but a statement. Thank you for everything you do and being who you are, brother. Respect.
Happy to help. That'll do it for the Q&A. Again, thank you to everyone who asked questions. This is a new format we're playing with. I think this will be a lot more helpful for those of you that ask questions and those of you that just want to learn from other people's questions along the way. So what we're going to do moving forward is comment down below if you want questions to be answered on the next Q&A that we do, which will be in a few weeks. YouTube questions will be prioritized over Instagram. I will keep throwing up Q&A boxes, probably weekly on IG, but YouTube questions are always going to be prioritized, so please comment down below. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and please share it with your friends. I'm pandering right now, but I need you to share it. I'm trying to grow this so I can get more reach and get more subscribers and keep putting out awesome videos. So until next time, we're out of here.